Check out ProBoxingSupplies.com, PowerPerformanceProducts.com, and you're watching MMAinterviews.tv.
Spencer Lazara, MMAinterviews.tv, on the phone with TUF 13 contestant Chris Cope. Just got a nice win over Shamar Bailey there in this last week's episode. Talk us through the fight, Chris.
Yeah, the fight was just basically simple game plan. Don't get taken down by Shamar. And if he does take you down, you know, certain elements you got to do to get back up, and then basically just stick and move. There's a lot of things I did wrong in that fight, but I did enough to pull off the victory. But it was definitely I was very hesitant to let my hands go and throw strikes because I didn't want to do what Norton did and basically throw a strike and then get taken down. So I was only throwing like 1 or 2 pop shots, but I did what I could do to get the victory, and then went from there. Yeah,
talk us through the lead up. Obviously, like you just mentioned, there was the issues. He had this little beef going on with you for some reason.
Yeah, Shamar just what a lot of people know is like Shamar, me and him didn't really have a beef. Like they kind of edited to make it look like. He was actually like, when it came to reading the Bible and stuff, like I'm a religious guy, and they didn't let us have anything in the house except the notepad in the Bible, and I decided, all right, let's go ahead and I started reading the Bible, and then I was asking him what to read, and I don't think Shamar really liked me initially, but I just kept coming into his room and asking him what to read, and he kept telling me, but I do this weird thing, and like you saw in the episode, and I think I was annoying him because I was doing it like at 9 a.m. and waking him up, and I can understand why he's pissed off, but he just completely utterly wanted the route that he took. That was to set up the fight because he thought I was the weakest link. He wanted that matchup, and I think that's why he did what he did.
When it was announced that there wasn't going to be the third round, what was your initial thought? I mean, it has to be a little bit of skepticism, on how the judging is in our sport, of course. Did you think you won?
I went in that fight. I was not even thinking about the outcome. I was like, dude, I'm just going to go in here and fix the game plan. Whatever happens, happens. It's in God's hands, and that's how I kind of go into every fight. It is what it is. Whatever happens, happens, and you just got to go with it. And I remember Brock told me, like, hey, I think you got that, buddy. I think you got that. And then when I called my name, I was like, damn, all right, I got it. Shamar, in my opinion, was kind of like he's kind of a forced sport afterwards because he's like, it's a nice win, but then he's like, I don't think you won that fight. And I'm just like, okay, dude, but like, seriously, I said that right after the fight. I'm just like, all right, I'm going with it. But then he asked me in the house later, should I went to a third round? And I told him, yeah, I could have completely went to a third round. And have an argument for that. I think you're expecting me to go, no, it's only 2 rounds that I kicked your ass. And I never really did. I mean, I stopped his takedowns, and I peppered him up with punches. I didn't hit him with any big power shots because, I really couldn't plant my feet. I didn't want to plant my feet firmly because once I do that, that's going to make me stop, and that's going to make it easier for the takedown. But going into it, we had no idea about the laceration over his eye. We had no idea about the back injury. We had no idea about any of that. And who knows if he even would have brought up the back injury if he won,
Yeah. I mean, he told Dana, he said, I could have taken him down, but I wanted to bang to prove a point. I mean, what did you think of that? I mean, to me, you stuffed every takedown he tried, which was pretty much the whole fight, is him pressing you on the cage and looking for that.
Yeah, that's the dumbest thing you can think of is when you think about it. When you go into that show, you do whatever it takes to win. Bottom line, if you lose, you're out. So, like, I don't understand this whole mentality of I just want to go in there and bang, and I just want to go in there and put on a show and this and that. Yeah, that's great and all, but if you lose, you're out. It's like some of these guys, they can be the most boring fighters out there, but they win. You know what I mean? Like, everyone was talking about Leona Machida, like, they didn't like him. He was too passive and everything else. And all of a sudden, Leona starts knocking people out. And then recently, he knocked out Couture with that front kick. And then everyone's all about Leona Machida again. That's the thing with the fight world. It's so up and down, and people are here for you, and they're not here for you. So the way I look at it is, I just go in there, and I tune everything out, and I don't care what anyone else thinks. There's no reason to try to go out there and prove points, because when you do that, you get caught. Like, all these guys, like, who had that problem? It was, the guy who KJ Newton smashed, Rich Frank, the jiu-jitsu guy.
KJ Noons?
He's like 155 pounds. He fought Strike Force's Rich Franklin jiu-jitsu coach.
Oh, George Gurgel.
Yeah, well, that guy's always talking about, like, I just want to get in there and bang and everything like this. And I'm like, dude, you got world-class jiu-jitsu. Take the guy down and submit him. But no, I got to prove that I can bang. It's like the guy lost a lot of his fights because he went in there and did that. You know, I'm friends with Andy Wang, and we all know about Andy Wang, the situation where DJ Penn booted him off the team because Andy wanted to go in there and bang instead of just use jiu-jitsu. And, you know, Andy does that a lot in fights, and the guy's a very good, you know, jiu-jitsu fighter, but he doesn't use it because he wants to go in there and bang and show that he can stand up. It's like, you do whatever it takes to get the W, whatever it takes.
I can understand a little bit in a regular UFC when guys are fighting for low money and a bonus would help them so dramatically. I can see guys wanting to put on a show there, but it makes no sense for the Ultimate Fighter.
You know, and this is the other thing with fighting, dude. There's no money. See, if you're fighting for fame or money, it's ridiculous when it comes to fighting because the thing is, there is none. It's like, yeah, you can have it at one point, but every champion falls, you know, is replaced by another person. If you go in the UFC, you lose 2 straight, you can be out. Some guys even lose 1, and they're out. So it's like, for me, I'm never going into this thing full time. I'll always be, you know, I'll always have something else in the mix that's going on besides just fighting. And I've seen so many of these guys, man, it's sad, like, you know, they're in the big show and they're fighting promotions, but yet that's all they do, and they're barely even able to make a living.
Yeah. What do you do, since you mentioned it, outside of fighting?
No, I work in a law firm, just kind of like paralegal stuff, but I mean, the whole goal I want to do is once this, you know, Ultimate Fighter thing's wrapped, I want to go ahead and take the LSAT, apply to law school, and then hopefully become a lawyer, and then while I'm a lawyer, just still fight, you know, I mean, that would be the dream. A lot of guys, it's like, what you got to realize is that we're only young for so long, and eventually get older, eventually have to retire, and all these fighters retire, and no one, they got no backup, they got nothing. It's like, they've got their identity that they had as a fighter, but then that's basically it, and once they retire, they're just completely forgotten about. And it's kind of a very, you know, very sad thing.
Yeah, it goes into not even only mixed martial arts, but all other sports, really. It's very much an issue with guys that they really don't think ahead, and I'm always preaching to youngsters and younger fighters that, hey, you got to think big picture too. You know?
Well, yeah, it's an identity. That's the problem. It's like, you know, that's why I'm very adamant about, you know, like, you know, I'll throw up on, like, Facebook and stuff pictures of me fighting, and people ask, I'll tell them that I do it, but I really try to, like, you know, have other elements in my life as well as fighting. Like, I train just as hard as every other fighter out there almost, but when I leave the gym, I leave it at the gym. You know, I try not to take that home with me, and I try to have a, you know, a well-balanced, you know, life and everything. But then I thought to myself, like, I was the only one. But then I talked to Brock about this, and, you know, Lesnar, he's got a policy at his house where they don't talk about fighting at all. Like, a week before the fight, it's like against all rules to bring up anything about fighting or talk about fighting or talk about the upcoming fight. Like, and like crazy stuff like that. And Brock, you know, he's all into hunting and fishing and has all these little side gigs. And I was like really surprised because I was like, dude, I thought you'd be all like way different, but the guy's actually a really smart businessman. Interesting.
Well, back to the fight. Were you? I know you were working a lot of takedown defense and also on the guillotine as they showed you there. Were you surprised that, I mean, you were able to stop every single shot he made?
No, I mean, my takedown defense is pretty good. And what's you know, the thing is like, I kind of liked it that I was on the Lesnar's team and Lou Pauly was on the other team because Lou only trained with me. He trained with me like 2 years ago. So Lou hasn't seen all the improvements, you know, that I made in my game. And the takedown defense is one of my things that I'm good at. But the thing is, like, I'm always in the gym, I'm always training, I'm always getting better. And yeah, I was a little bit surprised that Shamar wasn't able to take me down, but you know, when it comes to it, like, you know, I've got a lot of guys that have had difficulties, you know, taking me down, really good guys. And I mean, I've done a lot of work when I was up there at Quench, you know, working with guys like Dan Henderson, Tarek Sabardine, like, you know, pretty good wrestlers and fighters, and just going in there. Because, you know, my policy's always been the fight's not when you go out there and compete. It's in the gym. And as long as you leave it in the gym, you most likely do pretty well in your fight.
We'll talk about Ramsey's impressive performance, getting another quick submission there.
Well, Ramsey's just, he's another guy like me. Everyone underestimated him, but Ramsey's a gamer, man. He's very confident in his capabilities. He just goes in there, he smashes it, and, I mean, he's another good guy that, fighting's on his life, and he's got other things going on, and he talks about other things, and Ramsey was a lot better than what all of us thought. We saw what he did, and like, oh, God, we're fighting Stripper Ramsey, no big deal, this, that, and the guy kept talking about Glee. But Ramsey's smart, because by doing that, we completely underestimated him.
Well, give us just some insight about the experience as a whole, competing on TUF and living in the house with all the guys.
Well, it's simple. You just got to imagine this. Imagine they tell you to meet somewhere, and then when you get there, they basically take your cell phone, your wallet, any books, DVDs, iPods, anything that looks like it's multimedia. Then they basically put you in a hotel room for 24 hours. Then they put you in vans. You don't know whether or not you're going to have to fight in the house. You get in there. You don't have to fight. Then you get to the house. You find out you're going to be at the house for 6 weeks. You go around the house, stocked with all kinds of food you could possibly think of. But you can't eat because you got to make weight. And then when you keep going to the competition, all the other guys are out of it, so they're blowing up to like 200 pounds. But you got to stick around 180, and they're all eating hot dogs and hamburgers and everything else, and you're just eating spinach or not even eating. And then also the element of never knowing who you're going to fight. You can be fighting a guy on the other team, or you can be fighting somebody on your own team. You can be fighting the guy that sleeps next to you. You can be fighting your best buddy on the show. Doesn't matter. It just depends on how everything matches up. And then the other element is, imagine no Facebook for 6 weeks, no cell phone for 6 weeks, no loved ones, no contact with the outside world for 6 weeks. You have no idea what is going on.
Is that the hardest part, not being able to keep in touch with your loved ones?
Yeah, I mean, dude, you don't know, you have no idea about anything that's going on. It's all, you're completely taken off the grid. I mean, dude, prisoners had more rights than we did. You know what I mean? So it's like, but at the same time, it was a great experience because it was kind of like a mental and, it was a mental cleanse. It was basically like going to a rehab, and we didn't even have to pay for it. It was all taken care of, and we got paid to be there. So it's like, it was good, man. It was, something I'd do again just because it makes you so much mentally stronger going through that experience.
We'll talk about Brock quickly as a coach and close this out here.
All right, well, here's the situation with Brock. The whole time he was on the show, he had a lawyer by him, so he was basically very heavily monitored. They didn't want to blow it up or anything like that. He's the type of guy that keeps his circle really tight-knit. He only trusts people that have known him for a long time and are around him. He's a very good coach, and it's kind of crazy because he's never, I don't think, coached anybody in MMA, but he just got that skill to coach. Guy's got a good heart, I think. He's basically very, he's just a country boy, dude. But he's exactly like how Joe Rogan described him. Like, if Armageddon ever happened, Brock Lesnar would basically, put you on a dog leash, father your kid, and then rape your wife repeatedly. And there's nothing you can do about it. Like, the guy's just this complete crazy alpha male. I've never seen him because the guy, I thought he was big, but standing next to him, the guy's as big as a house. And then when he lifts, he doubles in size. It's just crazy. And he's just, what he's accomplished in the short period of time that he's been fighting and training is ridiculous. I mean, that guy was the undisputed champion of the world. He only had 5 fights. Who's ever done that in any sport? Can you imagine that ever having in boxing? A professional having 5 fights and being the heavyweight champion of the world?
Yeah, that's pretty outrageous.
It's unheard of. And the thing is that, but he's a very simple guy. He told us that he's never watched an episode of The Ultimate Fighter. He really had no idea what the concept was. He kept asking questions about So hey, so what's the cost? Because he had no idea because he never watched it. We asked him if he's going to watch the show. He said probably not.
What do you think about the illness coming back? And that's got to be pretty disappointing for him right now.
No, I really feel for him, man. Brock's definitely he's a country boy. He seems like a decent, pretty good family man, and he just does his thing. But it's weird because I talked to him in the sauna about it, and he talked about how he was almost on his deathbed, and it was a pretty crazy situation for him. I didn't think he'd come back, but then all of a sudden came back. So my heart goes out to him and his family, and I hope he can pull through. But it's just something he's gonna have to endure, and hopefully he can come out of it. All I can tell you is that these next couple of episodes. I mean, the Ultimate Fighter probably started out slow, but it definitely ends with a bang.
That's great, man. Great to hear. Best of luck, man, and appreciate the time.
Good deal. All right, it's fine. Talk to you later.
This video is brought to you by BossRootin.com, ProBoxingSupplies.com, and Power Performance Products, makers of Body Storm and Body Effects.
Godspeed and party on.